So I'm working on a brand new piece today that is based on a real place in upstate New York called Toughannock Falls. Um, and actually, I'm just capturing some trees that I saw there. I'm not painting the falls themselves. Um, but I just thought I would start a video and let you watch along as I paint and talk about what I'm doing. So I'll show you the photo that I'm starting with. A grouping of trees on a hillside, captured on a very beautiful winter day with a blue sky. And so what I'm trying to do here is use a lot of those cool blues to create the shadows, and then some nice yellows, which obviously I have not laid in yet. I'm starting with the dark first, as always, and moving toward the lighter colors. So really, going back to my usual process, I'm just laying in the dark shapes as the first step. And I don't put a lot of thought into how I'm mixing these colors, but I do try to vary the colors that I'm using as much as possible, and kind of keep an eye on the overall structure that I sketched out with chalk, because I don't want to go too far off track. So these tree trunks right in here, here's the kind of main focal point tree trunk. I got some over here off to the side. Another one right here. There's a lot of shadow and bright light reflecting kind of playing together on those tree trunks. But I do really want them to stand out from the foliage that I'm painting. So I'm trying not to paint over too much of the tree trunks as I go along. It tends to work better to put the light paint straight down on the on the canvas without a dark layer behind it. So you'll notice that this canvas has been underpainted. That's what that bright color is. And I do have a video specifically on that process and why I do it. So check that out if you're wondering why the heck it's so bright in the background. So laying down the light colors really does work fine, even on that bright toned canvas. It's just when you've got layers of dark paint behind the light, it doesn't read quite as well. So those areas that I know are going to be light, I'm just trying to leave alone for right now. And looking back at my reference photo, a lot of these kind of background trees that are, deeper behind these focal point trees that are getting hit by the sunlight. The background trees are very dark. So we're kind of seeing like a series of tall trunks, straight, narrow trunks in the background here. And that'll kind of shape what we see overall in the background, is that series of trunks without a lot of detail. So I'll go back over these with more layers to kind of thicken up that paint down the road, but I probably won't put a lot more detail into these. I've got another very dark area right over here. We've also got some more horizontal branches coming in straight out from these tree trunks. So those are also going to be light and bright. So again, I'm trying not to paint over all of them. Some I'll add on top of this. On top of the dark area. But they'll read kind of uniformly as long as I leave some a bit brighter. This part of the painting process is definitely the slowest and requires a lot of imagination because you really, as you're putting these shapes down, it really doesn't look like much yet. So you kind of have to keep glancing back at your reference photo or your sketch to try to kind of stay on track with where you hope the painting goes. Of course, they never turn out exactly like I think they're going to. That's part of the mystery. But I don't mind. It's exciting to see a painting start to come together in a different way than you were expecting. I'm using some purple here. I've talked about this before in some of my other videos, but I don't use any straight up black paint. Mixing together colors gives you some beautiful, rich, dark tones that you just don't get by using black paint. So when I was in art school, I think we weren't even allowed to use black paint, which was a great exercise in learning how to mix dark paints and, you know, really keep things rich. So here I'm adding in some red. This tree trunk is a little bit leaning. Okay. So this side, this half of the painting is more in the shadows. And over here, this area has more of that sunlight coming through. So as I'm painting, I'm trying to remember that this side is going to be a bit cooler and this side a bit warmer. Hopefully that music isn't too loud for you. I like to keep some classical music playing to keep myself a little more alert. Over here, there's a shadow that kind of spans across a few trees, which is kind of a nice effect. Keeping this phase very loose. We'll add a lot more detail and more layers later. Okay, let's see. It's best to try to keep the whole painting moving along at roughly the same pace. Obviously, it's impossible to keep getting to every corner of the painting in every area at a regular rate, but just trying to revisit other spots regularly. You don't want to be getting too focused on one little corner of the painting and leaving the rest completely undeveloped. Just helps the overall painting flow together. If you put too much detail into one spot and decide to kind of change direction, it's really hard to pivot out of that. And much easier to kind of develop the whole thing together. And that way you can change direction. Start using a slightly different color palette, for example, if you want to. With painting, you kind of have to just start and know that you're going to make some mistakes, but also know that nothing is permanent. That's the beauty of acrylic painting and oil painting. These are acrylics, which I love because they dry really quickly. And that's another benefit to working on one area, moving to another area, moving around, is that the earlier areas that you were working on are probably going to be dry by the time you get back to them, even within the same painting session. All right, I'm keeping this video super short for today, but just wanted to give you a chance to paint along with me or watch along as I'm painting. So I'll continue to post more of these little glimpses into the studio and different phases of different paintings as they're coming together. So thank you so much. Hope to see you again soon.